A man went fishing at a small pond deep inside a forest during the day. While he was focused on fishing, his friend decided to take a few photos of the scene. The first picture came out overexposed, so he quickly took another one. Later, when they checked the photos, they noticed something strange across the pond. Standing beneath the dense trees was a pale white figure. The figure appeared in both photos. They insisted they never saw anyone else during the visit. Some believe it could have been another person, but whoever, or whatever it was, appeared to be dressed entirely in white. Not exactly something you would expect to see standing deep in the woods. Could it have been someone involved in a ritual or part of some cult hiding out in the forest? A woman was swimming in the ocean about 4 miles off the coast of Key West in July 2011 when something terrifying happened. At first, she had no idea anything was wrong. She calmly floated in the water near a boat, completely unaware of what was behind her. Then, suddenly, a shark appeared, moving dangerously close in her direction.
Hey Heidi. Hey Heidi, get in the boat.
Luckily, someone on the boat spotted it in time. Instead of panicking, they quietly signaled for her to come back to the boat without drawing attention to the shark.
Holy crap, can you imagine?
Thankfully, she made it back safely. A man named John Darwin disappeared in 2002 after reportedly going missing during a canoeing trip in the North Sea near Seaton Carew in England. Rescue teams searched miles of coastline, but apart from parts of his damaged canoe and a paddle, there was no sign of him. Eventually, he was presumed dead, but in reality, John Darwin was still alive. And according to investigators, his wife and Darwin helped him hide for years, while everyone, including their own sons, believed he had died. Authorities later said John secretly lived in a property next to the family home before eventually moving back into the house itself without anyone knowing. During that time, the couple claimed hundreds of thousands of pounds in insurance and pension money, while continuing to maintain the story that John had disappeared at sea. The deception finally began falling apart after a photo of the couple together in Panama surfaced online. Soon after, both were arrested. John later admitted to fraud charges, while Anne was convicted of fraud and money laundering for helping carry out the scheme. Anne later said the guilt of lying to her sons would stay with her for the rest of her life. Two fishermen were spending time near a pond in South Carolina when a woman suddenly approached them and accused them of fishing in a restricted area. She claimed there were no fishing signs posted around the park and then started grabbing their fishing rods. An argument quickly broke out, with both sides refusing to let go.
Give me my
You
rods.
are assaulting me.
You have my...
The situation became more chaotic as the struggle continued. Then, suddenly, the woman appeared to try biting one of the men.
Oh, you're gonna bite me? Are you
At that point, the fisherman decided things had gone too far and called the police. YouTuber Tommy Treetop uploaded a clip from May 11, 2012, showing himself quietly fishing from a kayak in Castleberry, Florida. At first, everything seemed calm. He drifted silently across the water, focused on fishing. Then suddenly, this happened.
What the fuck?
An alligator charged straight toward the kayak. Tommy immediately panicked, quickly paddling backward. Fortunately, he managed to escape without being harmed. TikTok user Nehemias Claros shared this footage while out fishing at night with a group of people. While one of them was recording from the boat, they noticed a large dark figure moving through the water at high speed. It had glowing eyes and appeared to be swimming in a human-like motion, using its arms as if it were chasing them. Panic sets in as the group immediately speeds up their boat to get away. The figure continues moving behind them in the water, closing distance for a short time before the footage abruptly ends, and there was no further explanation on what it was. A man was walking along a quiet beach with his two dogs when a sawfish suddenly appeared close to the shoreline. Instead of swimming straight back into deeper water, the fish circled and briefly returned toward the shore again before turning away.
Oh shit!
The animal was likely disorientated or stressed, possibly injured or lost, which can cause large marine animals to behave unpredictably near land. A man named Capado went fishing with a group of friends near Port Gawler in South Australia when something suddenly went wrong. The group had been fishing near Recreation Drive late at night, when around 10:30 p.m. they noticed his light suddenly disappear in the distance. At first they began searching for him themselves, calling out and checking the surrounding area. But when they still couldn't find him, emergency services were contacted. His disappearance quickly sparked a major overnight search operation involving police water units, helicopters, the State Emergency Service, and surf life-saving crews. Teams searched mangroves, coastline areas, and difficult terrain stretching from Port Gawler to Middle Beach. Hovercrafts and jet skis were also used during the search. After hours of uncertainty, rescuers finally located Capado alive. Officials never released many details about how he became separated from the group, or exactly what happened during the time he was missing. Some believe he may have simply become disorientated in the darkness and rough terrain near the water. Either way, getting lost in an area like that at night could have easily ended very differently. Warning: this footage may be disturbing. A witness on a beach in Maui recorded a disturbing incident involving a Hawaiian monk seal resting near the shoreline. A man, later identified as 37-year-old tourist from Seattle, picked up a large rock from the beach and threw it toward the endangered seal. Fortunately, the animal reacted in time and avoided being struck. People nearby immediately confronted the man, as others began calling authorities. The situation quickly escalated on the beach, with witnesses shocked by what had just happened. The man was later detained, and federal officials launched an investigation into the incident. Hawaiian monk seals are one of the rarest marine mammals in the world, and harming them is a serious federal offense. A man named Brian Cranfield went fishing with a friend in Vermont back in 2001 when something suddenly went wrong. The two men were out on a boat near Summer Falls along the Connecticut River when the vessel suddenly capsized. His friend, Terry Brinegar, was later found downstream just over 2 weeks later, but Brian vanished completely. Despite search efforts at the time, there were no sign of him anywhere. Years passed with no answers. Then, in 2006, a hunter discovered a human skull along the banks of the Connecticut River in Connecticut, nearly 170 miles from where the accident happened. At the time, investigators had no idea who the remains belonged to, and with only the skull recovered, the mystery remained unsolved for decades. It wasn't until 2026, after advances in DNA technology and help from Brian's surviving family members, that authorities finally confirmed the remains belonged to him, ending a mystery that lasted 25 years. A group of children in Indonesia befriended a whale that had been regularly appearing near their coastline. Their first encounter happened a few months earlier when they were out in the water and suddenly noticed the whale approaching them. They initially panicked and swam back to shore, but later observed something unusual near the animal's mouth, what looked like a large fishing hook lodged there. They helped remove it. After that incident, the whale reportedly kept returning to the same area near their village. The children began spending time near the shore, and the whale would appear close enough for them to observe and interact with from a safe distance. They nicknamed it Buddy, and the footage shows it frequently staying around the coastline where they live. Some people see it as a rare case of animal recognition and long-term memory, while others think parts of the story may be exaggerated or misinterpreted. Two fishermen, Randall Spivey and his nephew Brandon Bill Mayer, left Fort Myers, Florida early one morning for what was supposed to be a normal fishing trip. They planned to return later that same afternoon, but as the hours passed, no one heard from them. Concern quickly began to grow among family members. Then, late that night, the U.S. Coast Guard launched a search operation. Hours later, their boat was discovered about 70 miles offshore, completely empty. What made the discovery even more unsettling was that the vessel was still running, and still in gear when rescuers found it. A Coast Guard swimmer had to deploy the anchor to stop the boat from continuing to drift across the ocean. There were no immediate signs explaining where the two men had gone, or what had happened on board. Search crews then expanded operations across thousands of square miles, using helicopters, aircraft, boats, and rescue teams, while family members desperately waited for answers. But despite days of searching, no trace of either man was found. Eventually, the Coast Guard made what they called the difficult decision to suspend the search, leaving behind only questions. A fisherman out on the sea suddenly came across a cemetery and parts of old houses exposed along the shoreline.
This is our old cemetery.
The location was part of Falcon Reservoir, a man-made lake built in 1952 that covered several communities, including homes and burial grounds. In 2024, water levels dropped significantly, revealing structures that are normally completely underwater. It's a reminder of what was lost when the reservoir was created, but it's also kind of unsettling, seeing graves and homes resurface after so many years. A group of people were traveling near Antarctica when they allegedly recorded this clip. They captured what looked like a large, old-style ship moving through icy waters on its own. As they watched, the vessel continued steadily through the frozen sea. Some suggested it could be a modern expedition or research ship designed with a more classic look. Others think it might have been an abandoned vessel drifting, though that seems unlikely. So what was it? A ghost ship? Was the clip even real? A helicopter flying over the ocean captured something unusual moving beneath the surface of the water. Below them, two long parallel streaks could be seen cutting through the sea at high speed. Instead of a natural wavy motion, the streaks stayed unusually straight and steady as they moved across the ocean. It might be a large marine animal seen from a misleading angle. Others believe it could be something non-living, like underwater currents or a large object moving beneath the surface. The lack of disturbance around it made it even harder to explain clearly. A fisherman recorded footage during a routine trip at sea when something started following their boat. Then, a large shape became clearer in the water, closing in fast. It turned out to be a massive saltwater crocodile, swimming directly behind the boat and keeping pace. Not knowing if it was just following out of curiosity or actually targeting something on board, they tried to speed away. A person fishing near a body of water noticed a sudden fountain-like spray rising briefly before dropping back into the sea. They quickly grabbed their camera. It created a visible trail of disturbance across the surface, as if something large was moving fast underneath. However, nothing could be clearly seen. Some commenters suggested it could be a large marine animal swimming close to the surface. Others believe it might be underwater pressure changes, a submerged object, or natural ocean activity causing unusual water displacement. A group of men were out in the ocean near Key West, Florida, when they recorded this.
Bro, look at these clouds. What is going on?
Strange circular shapes forming in the sky above them. These are actually known as hole punch clouds, which form when cold conditions cause part of a cloud layer to freeze and fall away, leaving circular gaps. Still, the perfect shapes made the scene look unnatural. Someone was on a boat late at night, looking out over the dark water, when they noticed something unusual moving below the surface and quickly recorded this clip. They saw what looked like a spined back and a shape that didn't match any typical sea animals they were familiar with. Some suggested it could be a known marine animal seen at an odd angle, or distorted by the water and lighting. Others thought it looked almost prehistoric, comparing it to descriptions of ancient sea reptiles. What do you think? A diver recorded a deep-sea footage clip showing a creature with a fully transparent head, making its internal structure clearly visible. Inside, its eyes could be seen along with other organs, giving it an almost artificial appearance. It was later identified as a real deep-sea fish species known for living in extreme depths of the ocean, far below where sunlight reaches, the barrel-eye fish. It's small in size, but its most unusual feature is the clear dome on its head, which allows its eyes to rotate and track movement above it while hunting in the darkness. YouTuber Daniel Bowens was magnet fishing under a pier when his magnet pulled something heavy from the water. At first, he thought it was just debris stuck to the magnet, but as he lifted it closer, he realized it looked like something organic.
Oh my gosh.
The clip cuts off before anything is clearly confirmed, but from what can be seen, it appears it may have been a deer carcass. Definitely not the kind of treasure you hope to find. Instagram user Beyond the Radar shared a clip showing a strange-looking movement in the water that at first appeared hard to identify. As the clip continued, the shape became clearer and was identified by commenters as a crocodile. Closer details in the footage showed parts of the animal briefly surfacing, including its head and jaws as it handled its prey. Most of the time, mysterious clips like this have a very logical explanation and are often just optical illusions or unclear angles. A diver recorded this footage of a strange deep-sea octopus that looked like it had ears. What is being seen is actually a Dumbo octopus, named after its ear-like fins. It lives at extreme depths of around 3,000 to 4,000 meters below the ocean's surface, where pressure would be enough to crush most known creatures. Because sightings are rare, footage of it often spreads quickly online whenever it appears. Who knows what other unknown creatures might be down there? While ice fishing near the Finger Lakes in New York, a man saw a yellow glow rising into the night sky. It formed a tall, vertical beam visible from a distance. He photographed the light as it extended upward in a straight column. The source wasn't immediately clear from his location, and many people online speculated it was a beam from a UFO. However, the light was later identified as a light pillar. This optical effect occurs when natural or artificial light reflects off of flat, hexagonal ice crystals in cold air. The crystals reflect the light vertically, creating the appearance of a glowing column. Not so mysterious, but definitely magical. Two women were fishing along the Mississippi River when a loud splash broke the calm water. They turned and saw something large rising beside their boat as the surface began to churn. Massive clawed limbs hooked into the fishing net hanging off the side. Only dark shapes and sharp claws were visible at first. The animal's weight pulled against the net and rocked the boat. An alligator snapping turtle surfaced, drawn by the fish inside the net. These turtles are rarely seen this close to boats, making the encounter even more unsettling. Its jaws opened near the edge of the boat as it struggled against the mesh. The women loosened the net to stop the strain. Once released, the turtle slipped back underwater. While fishing at sea, some boaters captured a strange sight. On one side, the sun had dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow. On the other side, a round orange sphere appeared in the sky, almost like there were two suns. Was it the moon? Or could it have been an atmospheric refraction, where sunlight bends through layers of air in the horizon and creates a second, visible image? A couple was fishing off of the coast of Ibiza when they spotted a strange, large circle floating in the water. Curious, they got closer and zoomed in with their phone.
What the fuck?
The circle appeared to be made of some kind of foam. Foam isn't unusual in the sea, but a perfectly round shape is. Normally, foam forms irregular patches and drifts with the current, but this circle stayed fixed and never changed shape. If you know what could have caused it to form so perfectly, let us know in the comments. While magnet fishing at a local pond, they pulled up something they never expected. At first, it looked like a simple jar, but once it was opened, the situation became far more disturbing. Inside was a honey-like liquid, along with red cloth bundles, string, keys, and printed photos of two people. There was also a handwritten note, folded and sealed inside the jar. The items appeared intentionally placed, carefully wrapped, tied, and submerged. this wasn't trash. Many people familiar with folk magic immediately recognize it as a witchcraft or voodoo honey jar spell, objects often used in rituals meant to influence relationships, emotions, or behavior. Honey jars are sometimes associated with love or binding spells. When thrown into water, they can also be used for separation, control, or banishment. After pulling it from the pond, the uploader said they felt uneasy for days. They couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't something meant to be disturbed. Reddit user Zesty Close Salad 290 was fishing when he found what looked like a giant jelly-like donut floating in the water. Its shape was smooth, round, and oddly perfect. A commenter later identified it as a species called Pectinatella magnifica, a freshwater colony made up of thousands of tiny organisms known as bryozoans. These colonies are often found in slow-moving water and can grow into large gelatinous masses attached to submerged surfaces. Despite their strange appearance, they're usually harmless and can even be a sign of a healthy ecosystem. And now, let's continue with some more scary fishing encounters.